Hello everyone, I'm Xie Jingliang. Today, I will reflect on my film opening project, Echo. Over the past year in AS Media Studies, my filmmaking skills have improved significantly. From knowing nothing to become a budding filmmaker, this journey has been full of challenges and growth. I still remember staying at school until 10 p.m. to finish my first short film, Crime and Punishment. During the production of Parkway, I tried using green screen technology for the first time, open up new creative possibilities. Looking back, I used to feel overwhelmed by the complexity of scenes and directing. Now, I'm more confident in tackling these challenges. My new project, Echo, is a result of this progress. It not only showcases my growth, but also deepens my passion for filmmaking. Let's now explore the unique appeal of Echo. The first portfolio question is, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? Echo is created as a suspense thriller. In my research paper, I explained why I chose this genre. I'm deeply fascinated by its logical complexity, mind-bending plots, and brilliant twists. My previous project, Crime and Punishment and Parkway, were also suspense thrillers. The core of suspense is the ability to captivate audiences through intricate storytelling and a tense atmosphere. This film used narrative codes and conventions to keep us engaged while challenging our reasoning. Let me share some examples. The first one is the appeal of non-linear narratives. In the movie Memento, Christopher Nolan used reverse storytelling, allowing audiences to piece together the truth just like the protagonist. This highlights the characters' psychological struggles and make each revelation more impactful. By distorting time, Nolan focuses us to question, what defines reality when memory is unreliable? Number 2. Social metaphors and character design. For example, the movie Get Out combines suspense with social critique exploring racial issues. The opening scenes where a black man is abducted set the tone of racial fear. Jordan Peele used dialogue, setting, and character actions to reveal hidden biases and operation, creating a suffocating experience for viewers. The third one is like the fear through repetition, such as the movie Triangle. It takes time loops to the extreme. The protagonist repeatedly experiences death and resets aboard the same ship. This repetition deepens the suspense and terror, drawing viewers into a maze of despair. Number 4. Hitchcock's genius. In Rear Window, Hitchcock used voyeurism as a central theme, through a character spying on neighbors with binoculars. He explores humans' curiosity and the danger of invading privacy. Every shot and lighting change plays with the audience on ease. Number 5 is the shocking twist. In the movie The Mist, the protagonist's separated decision lead to unexpected tragedy. Such twists strike deep fear and amplify the film's themes. Similarity The Shutterland. Martin Scorsese use psychological illusions and unreliable narration, revealing the protagonist's self-deception only at the end. Now, let's take a look at Echo. The opening is set a dimly lit subway carriage. The protagonist says tiredly, talking to her boyfriend on the phone. Beneath this seemingly normal sense, there is a sense of unease. Through contrasting lighting, the confined space, and increasing train sound, we create an oppressive atmosphere. This reflects the suspense thriller tradition, like the tense use of enclosed space in Hitchcock's Rear Window. As the plot unfolds, the boyfriend mentions someone is back, distributing the claimed conversion but keeping the details hidden. The symmetry of information mirrors the layered suspension in momentum, increasing train noise and static interference add to the tension, akin to the auditory pressure in Shutterland. What makes Echo unique is its subtlety and ambiguity. Unlike Get Out, which directly reveals the crisis, Echo has danger within everyday dialogue, building suspense through potential anomalies. For example, the boyfriend mentioned the doorbell ringing, but we never see who's at the door, making the plot more mysterious. The echoes the fear of unknown in the mist. The subway scene used every familiarity to evoke it through contrasting color and lighting. This everyday abnormality changes viewers' comfort, much like the repetitive shape sitting in triangle. Similarity echoes suggests time and identity dissonance, making the simple phone calling intriguing. The title echo holds deep meaning. The phone conversation feels like an echo, both a response to reality and the extension of illusion. This theme aligns with the blurry lines between the reality and imagination in Shutterland. Overall, the opening of Echo pays homage to classic suspense thriller through its use of environment narrative techniques and psychological tension, while also boldly experimenting with innovation. The film mainly convenes two profound themes. The first one is about the trust and doubt between people, especially between man and woman. The second is the individual's existential crisis. In the film Echo, the female protagonist receives a call from the male protagonist, which is his boyfriend, on the subway. It starts as an ordinary conversation, but it suddenly takes a suspenseful turn because of the male protagonist's words, "You're back." As the call is hung up, the female protagonist's trust is shaken, and the question follows, who is the other person at home? Trust is a fragile yet precious emotion. It requires time and sincerity to build, but it can collapse due to a vague detail. Doubt, on the other hand, is a self-protection mechanism that helps us detect potential contradictions, but it can also undermine the stability of relationships. In the films, the female protagonist changes from being calm to uneasy. This is not only her doubt, but the male protagonist also her wavering of her own judgment. Trust and doubt are two sides of the same coin. Too much trust may lead to blindness, while excessive doubt can damage relationships. Echo reveals the tension from the contradiction. The female protagonist tries to resolve her doubt through communication, but the male protagonist vagueness and silence intensify her fear. This makes us reflect on how trust can be sustained when communication fails. In the information age, We are faced with more and more uncertainties, and trust seems to be increased scale. However, Echo reminds us that trust is a kind of courage, and doubt is a kind of wisdom. Only by balancing the two can we find safety and understanding in complex interpersonal relationships. I hope that in our daily lives, we can use Echo as a mirror to think about how to find our own answer between truth, trust, and doubt. The manifestation of the existential crisis in the script is even more direct. Existentialist philosophy focuses on the loneliness and struggle of individuals in an absurd world. This philosophical school is promoted by philosophers such as Sartre and Heidegger. They believe that when people face the absurdity and meaninglessness of the world, they often fall into profound existential crisis. The crisis stems from individuals' question about existence. Why do we exist? How can we find values and purpose in a meaningless world? The core question raised by existentialism is, in a world that cannot be fully understood, how can we find ourselves? In an environment full of uncertainties and absurdities, how can we define our existences? And this process is often accompanied by the desire for freedom and the ability to control reality. The subway environment in the play is like a symbol of absurdity. It seems to have no end and is full of uncertainties. The female protagonist's sense of isolation in the carriage symbolizes the existential predicament that human beings face in this world. It's not that she can not reach out to the outside world, but in the enclosed and unsolvable environment, she cannot control the direction of her own density. She tries to contact the male protagonist by phone, but she can never get a clear response. She cannot interpret the other person's words, that phone grasp and the truth of reality. The sense of powerlessness towards freedom is precisely the core issue in existentialism philosophy. We live in a world full of uncertainties, absurdities, and meaninglessness, and all we can do may be to keep struggling, but we can never find a defined answer. How does our product engage with the audience, and how would it be contribute as a real media text? First, how does it engage with audiences? Echo captures the audience through its narrative, visuals, and emotional resonance. The story opens with a suspenseful scene where the protagonist receives a tense phone call in the subway, sparkling curiosity and a desire to explore. The film reflects real-world issues like loneliness and the disconnection between people in modern society, targeting viewers interested in suspense, thriller, and philosophical themes. Additionally, I use dim lighting and handheld camera work to create an immersive feeling. Sound effects like the train's rumble, distorted voice, and sudden silence heighten the emotional tension, allowing the audience to connect with the protagonist's anxiety and fear. Now, as a real media text, what is its contribution strategy? I plan to start by submitting the film to film festival or short film competitions, such as Brilliant or Cannes, where professional reviews and media exposure can help increase its impact. It will also be uploaded to video platforms like YouTube or some video platforms in China such as Bilibili and TikTok. For promotion, I will create engaging trailers and posters, showing hidden scenes footage, clips, and even starting discuss related to the film themes, like how to deal with loneliness and modern society, and social media platforms. This way, I hope to encourage people interaction and the sharing of thoughts. If the response is positive, I would consider expanding the project to a future film or series, collaborating with production companies or streaming platforms to further develop of themes. How does this project enhance my creative skills? This project is the third official video I've completed since I started the Cambridge Media Study course last semester. Last semester, I made my first video, The Crime and Punishment, and the end-of-term short film, The Parkway. In terms of length, both of these work were longer than 2 minutes opening scenes I created for Echo. However, there is no doubt that Echo is the most polished and detailed film I've ever made. As I mentioned by my research paper, I've been exploring low-cost yet effectively storytelling methods. Therefore, Echo was shot with almost zero production cost, with the only expenses being subway fares and phone charges. This was made possible by a solid understanding of media knowledge and the careful planning during my script writing and storyboard stages. In contrast, when shooting The Parkway, we went through 4 or 5 rounds of retakes. Despite this, sometimes 2 hours or even more time of work would only result in few seconds of unsaved footage, making it extremely inefficient. This was primarily due to the lack of detailed planning in the pre-production phase, as I only had rough ideas, which leads to many issues during the shoot. In the making of Echo, I truly experienced the importance of through pre-production planning. The entire film was completed in just 2 shots. In the first shot, I followed the storyboard and shot the protagonist from different angles, trying to create a surveillance feeling. However, after editing, I realized those fragment shots didn't effectively convey the script's logic and atmosphere. Recording this, I quickly adjusted the storyboard, shifting from fragments shots to long takes, even opting for a single-take approach. This adjustment significantly improves the film's narrative flow and the visual impact. In conclusion, while there were differences between my initial ideas and the final shoot, pre-production prepares is always an essential step. When issues raises, creative adjusting and plan new version is crucial. This flexible approach not only resolves unexpected change during production, but also helps successfully bring creative ideas to life. How did you integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online resources in this project? In the term of integrating technology, I put a lot of thought into using software, hardware, and online resources effectively. Let's start with the filming process. I use a Canon 5D4 camera for shooting. Although this camera was released in 2016 and is considered quite old, it's my personal camera, and it meets the 4K 24 frames requirements for film shooting. I chose to use it for this project. Additionally, I wanted to heavily use handheld shots in this film, as it would help create a shaky effect and intensifies the suspense and anxiety, which are key elements of the atmosphere. As such, I didn't use a stabilizer and filmed almost entirely handheld. The advantage of this approach is that it helps further reduce the production costs, which is an ideal choice for me as a student filmmaker. After filming, I moved on to editing. I used my M2 chip MacBook Air for the editing process. While the performance of this laptop is average since it's thin and light model, it was still sufficient to handle 2 minutes 4K single-track video. One key point I want to emphasize in my production is my choice of editing software. I use the professional version of Jianying, which is a Chinese editing software. Chinese editing software I choose because it's user-friendly and simple to operate. Although I could use DaVinci Resolve for more complex editing and precise color grading, but the professional version of DaVinci costs nearly 2,000 RMB, so Jianying is a more economical and efficient option for a student filmmaker like me. Additionally, Jianying offers a massive library of assets including video clips, text materials, translations, and sound effects. In the creation of Echo, my main focus was on sound. The script is very simple, just two people talking on the phone in the subway. The real challenge lay in creating sound effects. Jianying provides me with various sound options, such as the telephone sound effect to simulate a distorted, digitalized phone conversation. The software also includes free audio simulate from its sound library, including subway door sounds and station announcement, which I could easily incorporate into my project. As for online resources, aside from the sound effects provided by Jianying, I want to highlight the music used in the video. The soundtrack is from the opening scene of Coherence, a film I also borrowed ideas from when creating Echo. The opening scene of Coherence is similar to my script. It also involved a phone conversation. I wanted to emulate the film technique and create a similar atmosphere, so I selected this song. It was very convenient to download it directly from the internet. In conclusion, Echo serves as my final project for the AS Media Studies course and reflects everything I've learned over the past year. While the creative journey was filled with struggles and compromise, each version and every detail improved my understanding of the meaning of filmmaking. Echo is a mirror that reflects the fragility and the complexity of the human heart, and has deepened my appreciation for the power of cinema as an art form. No matter what the outcome is, I am grateful for this journey. It has made me a braver storyteller and inspired me to continue pursuing my passion for filmmaking.